Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Today is September 11th. Before we get started, I would like to take this opportunity to remember all those who died on September 11th. It has been, I believe it's 21 years, 22 years. It's been a long time, but we still don't forget all those who lost their lives on this day. So I just want to say just a brief, take this moment to just take a brief moment of silence as we do every year. And sadly that we have to do it every year on this date. So take this moment right now just to remember all those who died on the September 11th attacks many, many years ago. Thank you guys so much for doing that with me. Let's get started with what you guys came here to watch. And that was me do the sass about vendor fair and vendor shows or craft shows. We're going to talk about the checklist that I have for you guys. We're going to kind of look at some pictures about some do's and some don'ts. I'm not saying that everything that I'm showing you is 100%. This is how you should do it. This is just a point of view from somebody who's been doing this for 33 years now. Yep, at the tender age of 11, I basically, at the tender age of 11, I decided this is, or 12, I should say, at the tender age of 12. Sorry, Jess just popped in there. Sorry, at the tender age of 12, my mom introduced me to craft shows, and that is something that I absolutely have loved every step of the way. So we have that. Let's say good morning to our people. We say good morning to Miss Tanya. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Sassy Sunday. That's right. As you guys know, we also changed the hashtag for sass, the hashtag sassy to hashtag sassy subber. If you guys could start using that hashtag, it'll be a lot easier to find me, because if you just put hashtag sassy, you got a lot of them. So start putting hashtag sassy subber in the comments. That lets me know that you're watching me live this morning. And if you put hashtag rewind, well, you know what that means. You're watching me on the rewind, which a lot of you do. The stuff that you're going to see today, like the vendor the checklist that I have, that vendor checklist will be available to you in the group. I will be posting that after this live is done. So good morning, good morning. Good morning. If you are a Facebook user, make sure that you go to streamyard.com/Facebook in order to give permissions for me to see you. Otherwise, you're just a friendly face and I don't know who you are. So good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's get started with everything that we have going on this morning. First and foremost, you know who I have to go and say good morning to. So let's get over to there. Give me 1 second, because you know, we just got to do what we got to do. We got to say good morning to these ladies who are behind the helm this morning. As you saw, a sneak peek just popped in, popped out. Say good morning to the ladies behind the helm this morning. We have Miss Jessica, Jody, Cheyenne, my sister Amanda. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you to these ladies who are now behind the helm, playing with all the bells and whistles and the buttons behind the scenes. So if it all goes to crap real quick, I didn't touch it. It wasn't me this time. So say good morning to the ladies for me. Without them, the sass is just not possible. They help me with pushing up links, putting up comments, all the fun things that you have in here. So good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, so let's go popping back over to here. So one of the things I want to talk to you about is the things that you need for your vendor shows, your craft fairs. We are going to go over some pictures of the different things that you could be using for those said vendor shows and craft fairs, right? And it's a long list. The list that I'm going to show you is just a guideline. These aren't a must-haves, and you're going to be like, Nikki, I don't have those things. I don't use those things. That is perfectly acceptable. This is just a, hey, don't forget kind of a conversation when it comes to all the things that you're going to need for your vendor shows. All right, let's see. Let's add this to the stream. Here we go. So I'm going to zoom in on this so you guys can see this just a touch better. All right. So here are just some of the things we're going to go over it. I'm going to move it up and down your screen to the best of my ability. So display items, you're going to need maybe a canopy. So if you're doing an outdoor event, you're going to want a canopy. May I make a suggestion, please? And you'll see why in the video or in the clips that I'm going to show you on the different pictures, why it's necessary to probably have a white topped canopy versus a dark colored canopy. And again, I will show you why in just a little bit. Now, you need yourself a portable canopy with sidewalls. Why are the sidewalls important? Weather happens. That's why. You're going to need your tent weights to hold that canopy down because, again, weather happens. Portable tables, table covers, risers, things to use to, give some height and interest to your display. Shelving units, grid walls, slat walls, other items such as that. Floor covering, mirrors, business card holders, small signs, large signs, price tags, or anything what you're going to use to price your stuff, any method that you use. And you want to do that the night before or the day before, or even the days leading up to. You want to have all your stuff priced and ready to go so that you're not doing it the day of your show. You've got enough going on. The last thing you want to do is sit there and price out your stuff as well. Go in with a plan. That is absolutely a must. Lay out your space in your yard so you could see how it's going to look. Know all the things that you may need. You may need clamps, binder clips, because those binder clips help hold things, back. If you have material on things, you can clamp it down. Lighting, again, you're going to see why in the pictures I'm going to show you in a few minutes, why lighting is also going to be important. Batteries if you need it, chair stools if they're not provided, and plastic tarps. Other things you're going to need. Your promotional items like business cards, media holder, and a portfolio. These are just boxes you can check off to say you have it. Again, not everything is going to be in what you need for your particular item. Your inventory, that's the reason you're there, right? You need those inventory items. Again, making sure they're priced and packaged correctly. Your supply tools, the things that make sure everything is all cleaned up. And if you are doing customization on site, do you have enough paper? Are you bringing a printer? Are you bringing a press? Those are other items that you're going to want to add to your list as well. Tracking tools for your inventory. Remember how I just said you want to have it all priced before you get to your vendor show? You also want to know what you're going into your vendor show with. So if you have 10 koozies and 15 travel mugs and 30 shirts, you want to know what you started out with, because then you can go back and match your order sheets with what you have left in inventory to make sure nothing walked away, because unfortunately that does happen. But you want to just make sure you have checks and balances when it comes to all of your inventory items. Now we're going to get into the sales and payment. Make sure you have change, because people still do pay with cash. Cash is still king. And, that is one of the things that people still pay with. So make sure you have 5s, 10s, 1s, lots of 1s. And if you can, round all your items so you're not having to carry quarters, dimes, and nickels, because guess what? Neither is your client. They're not, or your customer, they're not going to be having change in their pockets or their purses anymore. So try to round your items so that it either A, includes the tax already, and that you've rounded it up so that it makes it beneficial to you, or you carry that type of change. It's not something I like to carry. You want a cash box, a discreet and small bag, a fanny pack. Yes, fanny packs are back. Oh, the dreaded fanny pack, but they do have a purpose. Well, they can carry all of your cash. That way you don't have a cash box sitting on your table. You want your credit card scanner, whether you use it on your phone, whether it's a jack, one that goes into the jack of your phone, or you have you're running it off your tablet. You want to make sure you have a way to be able to take credit cards. Credit cards authorization numbers. Let's say you use PayPal. PayPal is definitely something, if you're having an issue, you want them to be able to answer those questions quickly. So make sure you have those 1-800 numbers if things happen to go crazy. Your smartphone or tablet, like I did say, you're going to want those, a charging cord and or battery packs, because again, if your vendor booth has no power and your phone dies, you could be missing out on some lost sales. So there is that. Hello, Remington. Oh, I am so sorry. puppy has been visiting me lately. We have the calculator that you need, a receipt book, and an order form if that is what is necessary for you. Now, let me get back to where I am because I don't want to miss items here. Next up, other things you're going to need, all right? Your notepad, your pen, your vendor permit, if you need one, your sales tax ID, if that's required, Sharpie, scissors, duct tape, because we all know it solves first world problems. We need a dolly or a wagon. It makes it easy for carrying your items back and forth from your car to your vendor space. Food, water, maybe a bagged lunch, a change of clothes. My suggestion is don't go in the clothes you want to be in all day long. You're going to sweat. You're going to get dirty from carrying all the boxes and all the things. Then you're going to want to be able to change your clothes. Makeup, if you wear it, right? Deodorant, that let's face it, you're going to get sweaty. Things are going to happen. You need to be able to do that. Wet wipes, right? Because you want to wipe yourself down. Because if you are in one of those southern states where it's hotter than 80s, you might want to clean yourself up. Breath mints, gum, your meds, and it might be if you have Tylenol, Advil, ibuprofen, but maybe you are diabetic. You want to make sure you have your meds too. Garbage bags, paper towels, and tissues. And other things you can have on there are your packaging items, bags and boxes, tissue papers, ribbon, twine, tape. Now, I left this where you could add some notes at the bottom, but also you see my note to you. Don't forget to be awesome. No matter what is on these lists, you can always add more to this list. Things that pertain more to you, right? And that's what that note section is for. This is just a guide. It's not a rocket, hard, fast science thing. Everybody is going to have a different list, slightly different. We're pretty much going to have similar things, but a lot of things are going to be different as well. So, but first and foremost, don't forget to be awesome. Go in with the mindset that you've got this. Everything's coming up roses, right? Make sure you also plan for things that might come up unexpectedly. Rain. Guess what? Rain happens. Vendor shows don't necessarily stop if they're outdoor events like festivals and stuff if there's rain. Sometimes they still keep going on. So make sure you plan for that. Make sure you have a raincoat and an umbrella. Make sure you have sides to your tent because you don't want your product, that hard-earned work that you just did, all that work you put into something, especially if it's fabric items too, will collect the moisture. So put those sides up on your tent. I know you don't want to be shutting out your neighbors, but in the event that there could be some rain, that's going to save your product in the long run. Make sure you use that's right, brand yourself. When you're getting those change of clothes and you've changed into those fresh clothes for the day, make sure you're wearing your brand. Whether you wear a hat, whether you wear a shirt that says your company name on it, brand yourself. I get picked on unmercifully about how much I brand myself, but you know who I am and you know what I have to offer because, hey, you go, that's the sassy suburb, right? You know who I am. That's what you want to have as well. You want to be able to walk around town, walk around these festivals, and have people start to recognize who you are as a brand, who your company is. I'm not the face of your company. You are. And I want you to be proud of that. So show it off with whether you're wearing an apron, a hat, a t-shirt. Make sure you have that. Make sure you have signage, right? You need a banner for your booth space, large sign. You want it to be nice and big so people know who you are, right? You don't want them just going past your booth going, oh, it's just one of those craft people, right? No, we want them to see you as a company, as something that's worthwhile stepping into, right? So that's what you want to have. Even if it's an indoor event, again, you want to have all the signage. We're going to go through right now some of the different, let me get to my pictures here. We're going to go through some of these booths. All right. And I'm going to talk about different things in this booth. And the reason being is because I really feel strongly about these when it comes to that. Give me 1 second. Can you just put him in the room? Goodbye, Remington. have a puppy, they said. It would be great fun. Give me 1 second. Here he goes. Sorry about that. Remington's not usually out for the sass, so he thinks he's a kid in a candy store right now. So I do apologize for that. Love the bloopers. So that was Remington. Let's get to the different booths. And I'm going to talk to you about each booth space, what I see with some potential issues of these booth spaces. I just went and grabbed some random pictures from the internet of just booth spaces. And then I looked at them. And then I'm going to tell you what my feels are when it comes to these. Okay. So let me get back to my screen over here. Okay. And we are going to shrink me down. Okay, so let's talk about this booth right here. I love how this booth looks. While it's simple in the way they designed it, it's not overly cluttered. There's a lot going on here, a lot of shoppability. I love how they grouped their items together, but yet still made it fun. I love all the stuff that is in this particular space. It doesn't overwhelm me. I'm not getting anxiety when I look at this booth space. You could see they have great signage. You see that sign? That's the name of their shop is Drop the Weasel, right? You see that. Kudos to them for that one. And they have different varying heights of their items. If you notice, they have some of their jewelry on the table, but they've also brought it up. They brought your eye up and they were able to display some of their jewelry up higher. That's a bonus too. You don't want people going around going with their heads hanging down like this. You know, you want them to be up and looking at you. I love the fact that they're not standing behind their booth for this one. They're probably off to the side so they can interact with their customers, right? Again, mad kudos for this display. Now this one, again, I love how this looks. She's also got a lot going on. But look, she's standing behind her space, but nothing is so tall that it overwhelms her. And so that people can find out who she is in this space, right? They know that she's the boss. Look at all the things. I love these banners hanging down. It gives some really cool, vintage vibes, but some visual interest. She totally utilized her space from literally floor to ceiling when it came to this. She utilized those side panels by using some lattice work to be able to hang her bags on. Again, mad props for this. It isn't overwhelming. You don't go in having an anxiety attack about all the things. Too much eye candy is too much eye candy. We don't want that. We want to come in and enjoy your space, right? We've talked about this in a past sasses when it came to what else could you do? You could have candle warmers going. You can have some sort of scent so it invites them in. You want bakery type smells because nothing says come into my space and see what's going on than a good bakery smell, right? So you don't want to have overly perfumed smell. So if she's got satchels in here and all of that, you probably don't want that. It's going to overwhelm your people. Too much perfume smells in your space will also deter people from coming into your space. So try to have, if you're going to have scents in your space, either have them well packaged so people can't be overwhelmed by too many scents, or have just one scent so that everybody can, partake of those beautiful bakery smells. It's going to make them hungry, actually. I love that she sells antique furniture, but there is just way too much going on in this picture. And let me give you a couple reasons why this, for me, is a booth fail. Okay. One thing, that's a gray top. Let's start at the top. It's a gray top there. It makes her space look extremely dark. What she could have done is got some battery operated lights so that it would lighten up the space. Because if you know, it looks almost like a black hole, right? We don't want the black hole. Then she has some furniture that's literally dead center of that booth. If you get one or two people in there, you're more apt to knock things over. I wouldn't have put anything in the middle of that space, this stuff right here. I would have totally have taken that out. I would have tried to just pull that out of there and maybe rearrange my booth a little bit better. Now she's got antique furniture, but she also has these banners up here. It's kind of disjointed what she's selling. To me, I'm not really sure what she's selling at this point. When you have too many items that just don't kind of match, this to me says antique furniture, antique this, and then she has these banners hanging up. For me, that's a mismatch. I would have stayed with all of the vintage stuff that she had and stayed away from the banners. Okay. Then this. Whew. While this is an insane amount of work and it's gorgeous, it's a lot. Okay, there's a lot happening on in here, and I'm literally getting anxiety looking at how much stuff is jam-packed into this little tiny space. While it is gorgeous, and yes, you see she sells a lot of banner type items, which are stunning, by the way. I just feel like she's overwhelmed her space, that there's too much. There's a thing of having too much or too little. You want to try to find the perfect mix. This for me is just a lot of stuff crammed into a small space. Again, remember, the opinions that I'm giving and offering on these different spaces are just ones for me alone. After doing this for 33 years, I kind of gotten pretty good at what to see and what to like and what booths I would just walk right past if I were at a festival. This one I might have walked into because there is so much eye candy, but I don't think I would have stayed in there. I don't think I would have perused it enough because there's just too much for me to look at this point, right? So I don't think I would stay long. You want them to stay longer than a minute in your booth because the longer they stay, the more apt they are to buy something out of your space. I love this. It is minimalistic. I will say the table in the center, kind of, again, still not feeling the table in the center idea, but she left a lot of room to come around this table. So if you get one or two people into this booth, you're not going to feel like it's totally cluttered. I probably would have taken the table completely out or moved it up here to a corner. And the only reason for that is she does have shelving that she has here. I don't want to be knocking into the shelving. Our 10 by 10 booths are not that big when you think about it. And you add tables and you add all the things hanging on the side, it kind of closes in the space. So I probably wouldn't have had that table in there. And if I did, again, I would have moved it right up here to this front corner. And that's probably where I would have put it. I wouldn't have put it dead center. I want more than just one person walking in my booth. All right. And if people see, oh, there's not enough space there, they're more apt to walk away from your booth than try to come into your booth space. So this happens no matter if you're at indoor craft shows or vendor booths, outside booths, whatever. You definitely want to keep your path open. You want a nice open look, again, because more people are apt to come in than just kind of walk past it because they don't feel like they could be in there. And if you're a fluffy girl like me, I'm going to literally make sure that I could fit in that space with some other person and not knock everything over with me carrying my purse. Again, love the space. I do love how this isn't as cluttered. Now, she has a lot of stuff in here, but it doesn't have that cluttered, overwhelmed look. It also is light and bright in here too. So it gives the natural light to show off my products better. I love how this looks. She didn't put up too many banners. I love that. They aren't overwhelming the space. I don't get anxiety vibes when I walk in here. I'm probably going to spend longer than a hot minute in this booth because now I can see things and there's not too many of things. Underneath her table might be extras, but there's not so much that it's overwhelming me. I'm not getting those anxiety vibes of cluttered, hoarded look, type spaces. This is clean to me. This is kind of stuff that I like. I want it simple. I don't want it overwhelming, but I want enough product to make it look full as well. So mad kudos to her for this. This is something that I used to do. Okay. So here you go. As you guys know, that's what my business started out at, was hair bows. But I will tell you, while I love this display in every part, shape, and form of this display, the problem is you see, if you look up at the top, she has a dark canopy. That dark canopy is making all of her products super dark. And it's not welcoming and inviting. So even if you have a dark top canopy, you might want to bring in some battery operated lights, brighten up your space a little bit, right? And if you've got electric, add some electric lights to it because it's going to have more power, right? But make this shine a little bit brighter because you're not getting all of the good vibes from this. It just looks dark. It's not showing off your product well. We want to show off our product. While I am in love with her display, it's just dark for me. And I'm going to go in and I'm probably going to come back out. We want light and bright when it comes to our spaces, and we want to be able to show off our product, not make it look like it's in a hole. Now, this is, let's say this is at a craft fair. I love this and I picked this for a reason. This person sells hair bows and accessories, hats, all of that. She put a mirror up for you to look at yourself when you're trying on a hat, or you want to see if a hair bow looks cute on your child. She has that. It's not overwhelming space. She used some pegboards to bring the eye up and to be able to display that mirror. I love how she brought the eye up. One thing is, I don't like the mismatch pegboard. I would have painted it all white, made it all kind of go away, make it all look more cohesive. I would have painted all of my pegboards white or all of them black. Her shelving on the side is black, so I probably could have gone with black on that one. Then it makes my product pop. Don't look for mismatch when it comes to like pegboard. Try to make your stuff look uniform. So spray paint it all out, give it one color, whatever it may be. I like to just use my displays with black because it kind of just makes it go away, but I use a light cardstock so that it pops. Now, if I'm in an outdoor event, I use white. So indoor events, I use black. Outdoor events, I use white, because the indoor events have all that overhead lighting, right? Because you're usually in a gym. But outdoor events, you want to use the natural sunlight, but you're usually under a canopy. So it kind of blocks that out. I would have made it all white, light, bright, and so it could show off my product. I also stay away from painting it pinks and purples and blues because you're taking away from your product. Remember, your backgrounds need to be able to fade. You don't want your backgrounds to be seen over your product. You want your product to be the showcase piece. So make sure that you have neutral colors. Gray, black, white are your neutral colors. Don't go like, I'm very happy that she picked a white tablecloth. She did add the pink to the top, pop of color, but she didn't go ahead and paint this pink. If this was pink, it would have been way too overwhelming and you would have lost her product in that pink background. See how she went all white here? Love it. Now her product pops. She's got beautiful signage. She put her signage up top again, describing about who she is. My only downside is this the only place that she peeks out of. This is so tall, it's taller than her. So if she walks behind the space, she has no idea if there's somebody standing right here, right? So make sure you have peekaboo spots so you can see who's standing there, so you can talk to them. Stand to the side of your table as well. I know she is behind it and maybe you can't. I like to stand in front of my table. I like to be able to talk to people. I also ask my vendor space, how big is my space? How deep is it? Because maybe I can push my table to the back, which adds a little bit more depth. Sometimes they want them even. And if that's the case and they want them even, don't make your displays so tall that they lose who you are. If you have to stand behind it because that's how the vendor show wants it, make arches, make different varying heights of things, but don't block yourself out either. One, it's protecting your investment, which is your product, so people aren't walking away with it. And two, it allows for you to engage with those future customers. So that's what you want as well. Like I said, I love the fact that it's light and bright, but I think it's just too tall for where she is in this environment. Now I'm going to show you two back-to-back pictures. So this is very, very simple. All right. This is a very simple display. And while I love the simplicity of it, I think sometimes it can also be too simple. There's, yes, a lot on there, but maybe not enough. Let's go to the next picture and I'm going to explain how she could have changed this just a little bit. Now I do see that she has the two displays for the beanie caps. But this is how she could have displayed maybe some simplistic stuff and still add other varying heights. And then that allows for some more visual interest. I will be showing you some stuff from my Sublime Designs over at my craft table. We will be talking about that in a little while once I switch the cameras over. But You want varying heights on your table. Don't keep it flat. And having only one item, if I go back, they only had really this as their varying height. If you notice, everything else is laid down to the ground. She could have taken this and put them in baskets. She could have made a display to put those up on a pegboard post. This way, it's up off the table. It gives the high interest. You're not going to give somebody backaches from looking down so much. You want to bring their eye up. And that's what they did here. They brought the eye up. It allows for you to keep going because you don't know what else you're missing out on when you're looking at your displays. We're going to get into the PVC piping. If Miss Cheyenne or Miss Jess could put it up there. If you go to this website that they're going to add to it, it is formufit.com. You can go find PVC piping that has none of the images stamped on it. It's completely white, completely black, whatever it may be. This is a great display rack that is made with PVC piping for all of your clothing needs. I'm going to show you a couple different ones or a couple different things that were made out of PVC piping. Why do I love PVC piping? It's like Lincoln Logs for adults. We can put it all together and take it all apart. So one, it's for easier storage, but you can then rebuild it to fit the new space you may be in. See, one vendor show you may only have a 6x4 booth, a table space. The next one, you might have a 10x10 booth. So you're able to take all of those PVC piping and then redesign them into something different. That's the beautiful part of it. Nothing is set in stone, and they're great for storage, but you can change the varying heights of things too, just by changing how you lay out your PVC piping. Let's say, whoops, this is the, let me go to the front. Okay. So this is a register counter, to call it something, right? This is made out of PVC piping, but you can also use this PVC piping for using it in displays at your booth as well, or table. They just put board on there. How did they do it? They put Velcro strips on the PVC piping. Then they put it on Velcro strips on the board so it's not sliding. They added a top to it, and then they added Velcro to the sides and covered it with the front so that now it creates a register space. Again, you can use this as different varying heights with your booth. That's a great way to add those heights. But again, it's PVC piping. You can change it to whatever your little heart desires. Let me show you another one. This was actually used in a store. Right? So even booths and vendor shows are using this, but so are boutiques, right? This is definitely something you could do to hang your clothing on. Maybe you need it for your storage space in your home. Well, here you go. This is a great way to hang all of that stuff. You can flip it up, you can flip it down, do whatever you need to do with it, right? But now you have a place to hang all your stuff, and maybe you want to change your display. Perfect. Take it all apart, reinvent the wheel. If you notice, this is a short one. All they did was add in a connector and add in more. Now they have double layers. You can do that too, all with PVC piping. Again, when you're buying your PVC piping, pick neutrals, white, black. I tend to pick the black when it comes to my PVC piping. Here's why. Because you are literally bringing your clothes hangers all on the top of that. After a while, and if it's metal, it'll leave marks on your white PVC piping and make it look dingy. It won't do that on your blacks, but on the whites can tend to look dingy after a while, and we don't want dingy. So I like to use black when it comes to my display stuff, like the PVC piping. Here they even made a PVC piping for bags. Genius. You can also, hang your towels. Many of you have asked, how do I display my towels? Get pants clip hangers, like the hangers that you use for pants, and hang your towels on that. Put them in plastic bags, protect your investment, but have one that's out for display that people can touch and hang it up. So this isn't just for bags. You can hang your flags, you can hang your towels, and so much more by using PVC piping. Now, while I know that it's a lot of stuff going on and everything that I have just talked about, it's a lot. But you know what? Go into this with a couple of foods for thought. right, I'm going to talk to you about some foods for thought that you guys should know on your back end. And this is just basically a craft fair etiquette. All right, we want to have some craft fair etiquette. And what are some craft fair etiquettes? All right, make sure you always pay your fees on time. The fees on time is absolutely important. You don't want to leave a bad taste in a vendor's mouth. Absolutely not. You want to make sure that you are doing what you need to do when it comes to your space. And you want to you want them to know that you showed up to the party. All right. And that's exactly what you want them to be, is that you showed up and you knew what you're looking for. Let me bring my Word doc up again. Apologize. You want to help spread the word. Don't just think that, it's gonna do itself. Like, a lot of people will sit there and go, well, for a vendor show, oh, they do it. They do it all for me. They may do it all for you, but you could also help so that people know where you're going to be, where your booth is going to sit, what you're going to be selling at your booth. You want to make sure you're also spreading the word about what your events are that you're going to be at. Don't just rely on the vendor show, craft fair to do all of the heavy. No, you've got to put the work in as well. Make sure you build up enough stock. Again, you don't want to overwhelm your space, but you can have it in bins and totes tucked away if you're having a hot item that's selling out, so you can replenish it. You also don't want to have not enough so that you sell out and you're still standing there for 4 hours, right? You want to be able to have enough stock so people are still buying. You want to show up on time. If they tell you it's 9 o'clock that you need to be there at 9 o'clock. Don't be showing up at 10 o'clock. I don't care if your booth is extremely easy to set up. Show up on time. Be there. It also gives you an opportunity to walk around and see what everybody else has. Meet your neighbors. Listen, it's a long 8 hours sometimes. And when you're standing next to people, you want to kind of just say, hey, how you doing? Let your inner extrovert come out. I know some of us can be introverts, but you know what? Get to know your neighbor. Maybe you need to use the restroom and you could say, hey, can you watch my table for a second? This way I can go use the ladies' room. If you've gone by yourself, always travel with friends if you can, for that very reason. If you have to go use the restroom, you'd want to be able to leave your space and be able to do so. Be present. I can't express this enough. There is nothing worse than when I walk into a booth and I see a vendor doing this and not paying attention to the people out there. Look up at your people. Stand up. Be present. Let them know you're there. Don't hide behind your booth, sitting down constantly. If you're going to sit down, be within your booth. Let people know you're there. Engage with them. Don't hide in your space and hide into doing another craft project. If that's the case and that's the kind of person you are, maybe you need to bring somebody in who's a little bit more, well, like me. Right? I love to be a people person. That's who I am. So I would definitely love that. Kids are also great at that too. So that's why I always brought my kid. I believe that's why my mom always brought me, because everybody loves talking to kids and it's hard to say no to a kid who's got freebies in their hands, right? Stay into the end. There is nothing more discouraging than when I was a vendor show coordinator. Yes, I've done that too. We'll just add that to the bucket list of everything that Nikki has done in her life. So when I was a vendor show coordinator, there was nothing more just nerve-wracking. I don't even know if that's the word. There was nothing more that I hated more, I guess, than when vendors would just get up and leave. If it says that it's till 4 o'clock, stay till 4 o'clock. I don't care how bad you think it is. You signed up to be there till 4 o'clock. You should not be breaking down until the show ends. When you start watching vendors pack up their day at noon, 1 o'clock because they're like, oh, I didn't sell anything, I'm sorry. Then you shouldn't have signed up for that vendor show. You're not giving it all its due. And you're not, if you paid anywhere from $25 to $100 for that booth, make it worthwhile. I don't care if you don't sell a darn thing. Don't disrespect the event, because it really wasn't the event's fault. It might have been your booth. We'll talk about that in a second. Keep your area clean. keep it clean, right? If you see stuff that's on the floor because somebody dropped a wrapper, pick it up. You don't want anybody slipping on it, but you want it to look nice. It will be a representation of your booth. So if somebody's dropping stuff in front of your booth, clean it up. Also, make sure that your booth is cleaned up of all the things. You don't want to make it look like it's a haphazard mess. Put things back in their totes, make it look crisp and clean, right? Make sure your displays look that way too. If there's an empty spot, add something, rearrange some things. You can do that midstream. I try not to, but if all of a sudden I've sold out of an item and I have nothing left, right? I've done all of my due diligence. I might fill it with a different item. Make sure you change your signage too, because that tends to be an issue. Always be gracious and thank your organizer. There's nothing more than having, you hear all the bad stuff, but you like to also hear the good stuff too. As an organizer, you want to be able to go in and say, thank you for doing this for me. Great show. Even if you did crappy, always go and thank them. I think that's it on that one. Those, be vigilant of your space. Let don't go look around. I should say don't. Go look around and see what's out there. That's why you sign up early. Don't dog another vendor. Make sure that when you go to a vendor show, you're going with what you signed up for. All right. Meaning, if you said, I'm going to sell tumblers and you show up with flags, you don't know what that vendor organizer has already figured out is going to be there. That's the problem. You get that's why they only allow one Tupperware person at a time, because they don't want 16 of them. So that's the example of what I'd like to give. So show up with what you said you were going to show up with. If you're unsure of the items, list them all that you think you might show up with. Don't add anything new. Only have what you said you'd bring. And if you take something out, that's fine. It's when you add new things in and you've already got 4 other vendors who may have that item, it doesn't look good for you, because you didn't put it on your vendor sign-up sheet that this is what you are going to have. And it just gives a bad taste in the mouth of the organizer when all is said and done. All right, I'm going to go quickly to the comment section, because why not? I stand there the entire time at a vendor event. I love this one. This one is definitely one. I stand there the entire time at a vendor event. I always greet everyone who enters. Absolutely. This is also a great time to also give out your freebies. Maybe have a basket of candy. Mints go a long way, and they're pretty universal. I like to be able to do all of that stuff. I stand out in front of my booth. There's nothing more than me standing behind a booth. I am so antsy behind a booth. I have to be out front. I have to be talking to the people. I have to be seeing what they're looking at from their point of view, and then have that engaging conversation with them. That is just something that I have to do for me. If I stand behind the booth, I stand there, I start rocking, I start pacing, and I'm too antsy. I also like to have something in my hand. One of the things I am definitely known for having in my hand is some sort of fidget spinner, a little tiny poppet, because I got to keep my hands busy. If not, I'm going to pace back and forth. That's why a lot of crafters tend to do crafts at their booth, but they get so engaged in what they're doing, they forget that they need to also be present in their booth. So this is not necessarily a time to be sitting there crocheting or sewing or doing all those things if it's just you. Find something like a fidget spinner or a mini poppet to give yourself something to do. If you're going to want to do something like crocheting, knitting, all of those things, make sure you look up. Look up at your people. If somebody comes in your booth, stop what you're doing. Engage with them. Be present. This is another one. Have a free craft for kids so they don't touch your display. Absolutely. I love having a kids section in my booth. Something for the kids to do. Very simple, easy thing for the kids to do so that mom and dad can shop. While kids are occupied, mom and dad can shop and spend a little bit more time in your booth. That's also a pro tip, if you will. And in the industry that we're in, you can add those in there. We've got a lot of stuff that we can do that are free kids crafts, or low cost kids crafts. Keep it very bare minimum. You might not make any money on this. You're literally just going to charge the cost of it. But if you're keeping the kiddos occupied while mom and dad are shopping, it's kind of a win-win. Call it a loss leader, if you will. I don't know. It's just rude. Oh, if you're not talking to your people. I was trying to figure out what this comment was. What's just rude? You know what? Not talking to your people is just rude. And leaving early from an event is also just rude. Absolutely. That's a lot of information, right? Are your brains just totally and completely going? Yes. Vendor shows are completely exhausting, but they can be absolutely exciting. I still get very excited over going to my vendor shows. I still love doing them after all these years. They're a lot of work and there's a lot of stress that is added to it. But if you can do some pre-planning, pre-gaming, if you will, then you will be ready. I'm going to head over to my shop space. I'm going to flip the camera over so you can see what it is I'm doing. And let's go take a look at it. All right, so here we have a very basic display space when it comes to this, right? So I can't see your comments way over here. Please know that I cannot see your comments. So if Jody or Cheyenne or Jess, if I need to answer something, you're going to have to pop on the screen real quick and answer me or ask me, because I cannot see it. Let's talk about this display right here. We do a lot of stuff with tiered trays. Bring a tiered tray. A tiered tray can show off a lot of your product. While this one looks hodgepodge right now, that's okay. There's a reason for it. This is too much on a tiered tray, but I wanted to show you that because you kind of lose what I'm trying to show in product. So if I wanted to display this stuff down here from My Sublime Designs, this is Kim's shop. And this, a lot of the stuff I'm going to show you is from her shop, and I'll explain more. So if I wanted to display this, I'm going to lose it because I have so much going on. Strip it down a little bit. Maybe have all of this be what's on the display. Have something else being displayed up here. Tiered trays make a great display for height interest, but just be vigilant about what you're putting on here. You want to realize that there's a keychain in here, right? Because there's just so much going on. Again, strip it down and look at it from a shopping point of view. Does it give you overwhelming vibes? Are you worried that people aren't going to know exactly what you're selling on this? Yes, that is something you want to fix. Now, over here, I have just a display of the many mugs that I have, but I wanted to show you this right here, give you a couple of tips and tricks. So this is a battery operated turner. You can get them with power. I like the battery operated version, but did you know that you could take a plate or a round wooden board? You can go get them at Michael's. Put that on top of this turner. Now you've got a larger moving, like Lazy Susan, if you will, that's going to turn automatically. Just be very vigilant about the weight because it might slow it down or it might not turn it at all. Keep that all in mind. But again, this is adding visual interest because this is moving, right? You want some things to move. You may want some lights on your table. Signage will be important. If you come over to here, this is some of the stuff from My Sublime Designs. I absolutely love her little doggy. I love the fact that I can put the collar on here. You know, the scarves, you can get those from Sublimation Underground. But the dog itself is wooden. No sublimation needed. I absolutely love that feature. But it allows for you to display either the pet tags or the collars on this little dog. She also has a cat as well. So we have a cat and a dog. She also has this thing right here. This is the hand. The hand is great for jewelry. For this, I did keychains on. I love that as well. It's very neutral. I love the wood look of it. I love how that is displayed. Now, this is from Ladybug Jane. This is the earring stand. You guys got those in the Tribe packs last year, but you can go and order that from Ladybug Jane Gifts. She does have this. This also allows for you to see the size of maybe a pair of earrings. That's also a great display as well. I know that if you talk to Kim, if you're looking for a display idea, maybe for earrings, whatever, sit down with Kim and see if she can design something for you. Remember, these displays are investments. So you want to be able to invest in your vendor shows. If vendor shows are a huge thing for you, or maybe you have vendor booths, and you want to be able to display things, reach out to Kim. She may be able to sit there and create something for you using her laser cutter for earrings, for bracelets, for magnets, whatever it may be. Reach out to her, see what she's got. She's got a new fancy laser. So she is going to be ready and raring to go to be able to make some cool custom vendor show display items for you. This isn't something you're going to want to sell to your client necessarily, but it is something you're going to want to invest for your booth. As you can see, she also made this. Maybe this is a great way, this little sign, to display as signage for what something costs. Maybe you want to sub this black and then you use a white marker, dry erase marker, to put how much something costs. Maybe you want to go buy the little tiny chalkboards and do that instead. But she does have these little displays that you can use. While yes, it's meant to be for a tier tray, you can also use this for signage all along, and it kind of gives it a really cool vibe, right? So you have that. If you see how I displayed all of these, I kind of group things together. I have my wood items here, visual interest. I have my drinkware here, and I have my very hodgepodge looking display right here. Again, it tells a story, but if you notice, nothing is too tall for me that you're distracted by everything on the table. I'm able to look at you and go, hi, how are you doing? How are your, how's your day? Have you seen some really cool things here? I know I did when I walked around earlier today. What cool things did you see? Start those beautiful conversations with people. Don't be afraid to talk about other vendors and go, did you see what they had? You're not pushing them to sell over there. What you're doing is you're having a conversation. You're keeping them there at your booth longer by talking and having conversation. Make mention if they've got a beautiful scarf. I absolutely love your scarf. Even if you hate it, say, I absolutely love your scarf. Where did you get it? Let them talk about it. Again, the more you're engaging with the future customer and they spend time in your booth, people are going to sit there and they're going to notice and they're going to kind of come over. Maybe you want to be doing some sort of a demo. If you can do a demo, depending on what it is, demo something. People love to come and watch, and they also love freebies. So if you have freebies, put it front and center. It forces them to come into your space front and center. Don't put it on the end. No, we don't put things on the end like that. We want it right here, right in front of us. I want to be able to see you. I want people to come over. I might even put signage that says, look, I'm free. I'm, free to a good home, that kind of thing. Whatever it may be, put that right there so they're forced to come into your space. If you're forced to stand behind your space like I am right now, I like to have my stuff at counter height, not table height. So I will get table risers so it brings my table up to height. Now, the only way that does not work is if they provide the tables and they want them to have a uniform look. If they provide the skirting and the size of the table, the height of the table, you're kind of stuck standing behind your table and have it be at table height. These are counter height. I love a good counter height. It just brings everything up. For me, I can sit here and I can talk about it. I'm not hunched over myself, right? So if you can raise your tables up, get the table risers that you can get. You can get them on Amazon, get table risers, bring your space up. It also allows for you to hide things under a little bit easier if you have just a little bit of extra space underneath. Get some PVC piping, maybe make your own display tables, take them down, add wheels to them. Lots of fun things that you can do with those tables. Again, if you have something like this, it makes life beautiful. Add shelves in underneath, for storage. Again, this particular thing, I could use it as a countertop, but this thing is heavy. I am not lugging this to my vendor shows, right? But I could make it out of PVC piping and have shelves underneath for putting my bags, my tissue paper, my boxes, any of the stuff that I'm going to need under that counter height. These are just some of the things that you can use. Make sure that you have all the things that you're going to need, from your bags to your tape to your scissors. Try to troubleshoot beforehand. Set up your vendor show space beforehand so that you can look at it and go, oh, that really looks cluttered. Share it with us. Share it with us with what you have set up. Message me. Say, does this look too cluttered to you? Are you getting anxiety vibes? What could I do differently? I may look at you and go, you see, I have these boxes. Get some boxes, raise that up a little bit. It's too flat or it's too cluttered. Have different pieces of your stuff. Don't have everything out. Have samples of your stuff. One of the things that I do is I use that display for what I showed you guys for the bags. I use that for my flags and my towels. But the very front one is one that they can touch. And it does say, touch me on it. I want them to touch it. I want them to feel that towel. I want them to feel those flags. I want them. It's a textile thing that people must do. Pillows. It says, please hug me. And literally, I have it on there. It says, please hug me. No, really, pick me up and hug me. And I let them hug that pillow. They're so soft. Or when I'm standing out in front of my booth, I'm hugging a pillow. I'm like, you have to feel this pillow. You just have to feel it. And they're like, oh, that's really soft. And I'll be like, do you want to know what the softest linen I've ever felt? A linen pillow? You've got to feel this linen pillow. And they're like, that is nothing like what I thought it should be. Again, it's a conversation starter, right? You have them in your hand, show them off. That's just something that I do. Take it for what it's worth. For my flags, I will display my flags with a piece of cardstock on the top. I put a hole in it. They are stapled to the flag. So be very careful if you do that. But you can also put them in a plastic bag, such as, give me 1 second. I get these types of stuff and I'll fold them and put them in there. And then I'll staple the cardstock on the top. So just be careful about what you're stapling. You don't want them to ruin the product because 9 times out of 10, they're just going to pull it apart, right? So also think about that when you're doing things. Think of how you're going to package things. If you don't want people touching all of your white linens or your white towels, get samples out. Now, as for shirts, it's going to be hard. The problem with shirts is you don't have a place to be able to have them try it on. So you have to decide going into this, if it does not fit them when they get home, how are you going to deal with returns? When it comes to that, that's something you really have to have a long heart-to-heart talk with yourself. Are you going to accept returns? You might be able to say no returns or no refunds after sale. That way it covers you. If it doesn't fit them and you've put up the size chart, that's on them, not on you. You have to decide, though, before you even get there, if that's going to be your policy. Something you definitely just want to make sure you know, because you're not going to be able to try it on and see if it fits. Or if they buy it as a gift, you don't know when they're going to give that gift. Christmas is the worst time for return stuff. Have your policies in place now on your social medias. Have your policies in place now when it comes to your shows, your craft fairs, how you're going to deal with returns of items. No refunds, no returns. Then they're all in. But you might have a policy that says, you know what, you can return the item after so many days. You want to give them a receipt and you want a copy of that receipt. So if I give to Cheyenne a receipt that says X, Y, and Z at the top, numbers are key, then they can say, well, I have this receipt. This is my receipt number. You can go back through and see what the date was that they purchased it. Right? Because you don't want somebody to go, well, I purchased it then. Well, show me the receipt. People are funny. You want to be able to match receipts if you possibly can. That is just something that I would do, especially if it's going to be given as a Christmas present. You may be doing a vendor show September, October, November. They might not be giving it till December. Sometimes they don't even celebrate Christmas until January, depending on when they can get with family. You have to decide what your return policy is. Know it now, because you don't want to be in the thick of your busy season and have to come up with a policy, because it never turns out well. Trying to think of all the other things that you should be thinking about. There's just so much. I will be posting the link or the downloads for those checklists in the group at the Sassy Subber over on Facebook. You will be able to get those downloads there. Absolutely. I will try to figure out how to add them to my YouTube channel as well. But for right now, they will be in my Facebook group. If you want any more tips, tricks, or you just want to bounce an idea off of me, you can email me at thesassysubber@yahoo.com, and I can definitely answer your question. Or you can find me on my social medias on Facebook, and reach out to me and ask me, hey, this is what I want to do. What do you think? Join my Facebook group at the Sassy Subber. And if you also follow my business page at the Sassy Subber Designs, please make sure that you go in, get the notifications so you know when I'm live. And then, hey, if you're on Facebook and you're not watching me on YouTube, go subscribe to my channel if you would, please. There's a ton of tutorials down over there. And there are some last minute gift ideas that I did last year that will still be good for this year. So go back and rewatch those quick gift ideas. We're going to be doing more of those. I've been crazy busy, but don't worry, the little sassy minis will be back. Let me go hop over to the other computer, and so that I can answer any questions you may have from this. I hope I've given you a lot of information in a short hour. How did I do it? I don't know. But let me go hop back over to the computer. And there we go. I hope that I have given you a lot of information about vendor shows and vendor booths, just from my point of view. Remember, it's just my opinion. It does not mean that it's 100% how something should go. It's just going to give you an idea. It allows for you to give food for thought, things that you might not have thought of when it comes to all of these types of different spaces. Know ahead of time what the size of your space is, and then plan accordingly. Again, vendor shows can be absolutely exciting. A lot of work, but definitely exciting. I'm going to head over to the comments, see what you guys are talking about. And if you have any questions, I will try to answer them. Thank you so much. You're very welcome, Ms. Bobby. Thank you, Miss Edie. Hello, Miss Sparky. You are most welcome. I sat up last night making that handout for you guys, so that you guys would have at least a guide. I did make that in Canva, so if you want to make your own checklist, you can go to canva.com to make your own as well. But I did download that. Again, it will be in the group. Because you're a ninja. I am a ninja. That is true. That's right. Do not be the event Karen. And let me explain that comment. Great comment, Shalada. Don't be an event Karen. What does that mean? I hate the fact that we use the name Karen. But don't be that person. All right. Don't be that person that complains about everything. Don't be that person that literally will just leave the event early. Don't be that person who infringes on another, or infringes. I don't know. Encroaches. That's the word. Encroaches on another vendor space. Stick to your space. If your space is a 6x4, you stick to your 6x4. If it's a 10x10, you stick to that. Don't spill over into another vendor space. That's just rude. Keep it to the confines of whatever has been dictated by the vendor event, and know all of that going in. Make sure you know of maybe the etiquette for that vendor show. You want to make sure that you fall in line to however that vendor show is. Ask them if you can play music. Ask them if you can have lighting. Maybe they don't want that. Maybe they have overhead music playing throughout the event. I love nothing more than going into a Christmas vendor show with Christmas music playing. That is so much fun to go into. Gets me into the holiday season. But if they don't have music, ask if you can play music at your booth. Quietly, nothing too crazy, but you know what? The music is just going to kind of get them in there. If you're doing a Christmas show vendor booth, bring a tree. That's right. I used to have a tree that would sit in my booth. A full tree. Yep, bring it in, bring in the fake tree, have the lights, put my ornaments on it, and let them shop off the tree. Again, it gave visual interest. I would put my Santa packs down on the bottom. I would wrap some presents. I would literally give them all the feels of that vendor booth. I haven't done a vendor show in a very long time. And let me tell you, every time I talk about them, I just itch to want to do another vendor show. And I'm just like you. What do you bring? Well, you have to think about what the kind of vendor show it is. If it's at a school, maybe you want to bring some school related items. If it's near Christmas, gift ideas. You want to kind of decide what you want to be able to bring. I personally don't like to bring things that have to be customized. If they are a customized thing, I have them order it and then I send it to them. I may offer free shipping if I know how much the shipping will cost on an item, or low cost shipping, first class if I can. I try to think about these things before I decide what it is I'm going to do when I sign up for that vendor event. I want to make sure I have all those ducks in a row. My ducks tend to go out of sync every now and then. I try to earn them all back in a row eventually. Charlotte always writes, don't talk badly about other sellers, setups, and venues. Dulling someone else's shine doesn't make them look any better. That is 100% true. Talk about other vendors in a positive way. You want to be a light when it comes to all of those things. You want to make sure that you are talking about the whole show as a positive experience. Even if you're having a god awful time, fake it till you make it, right? Because you don't want to leave that lasting impression on a customer that may be walking by and you be grumpy face. We don't want grumpy face. We want happy rainbows and sunshine, no matter how horrible the event is. If the rain has rained, it's a rained event, look like you are enjoying to be there, no matter how miserable you are. I have been to vendor shows and I've been at a vendor shows myself where I've had horrible head colds, but I still make sure that I'm out there rocking it and doing what I need to do to sell my product. It takes a lot of work, but you know what? Fake it till you make it when it comes to that. That's exactly what you need to do. You never want to be that kind of person. Jennifer writes, when I find one vendor starts to shut down, it starts a domino effect and the customers are looking around going, what's happening? Absolutely, it does. I was at a vendor show recently and vendors had already started to shut down and it wasn't over until 3:00. And by 2:00, people were already packing up. Why? Well, it's getting to be closing time. It's not closing time. Closing time's at 3:00. That's when you close down. You don't close down any earlier. It kind of pushes the future customer out the door and they're like, oh, okay, well, I guess it's over. And they get a bad taste in their mouth. There's a lot of vendor shows that are cracking down on that. You cannot start breaking down until 3:00. You cannot leave early unless it's an absolute emergency and you have spoken to the vendor coordinator. But if you're breaking down early, then guess what? You will not be allowed back at my vendor event. That's just a no-go for me. So a lot of vendors are starting to crack down about that. A lot of vendors are also cracking down, vendor events are cracking down, making sure you have a tax ID number. Make sure you your EIN number, all of those things. They're also making sure that if you're traveling out of state, that you're collecting the state sales tax for that particular state, and you're doing all the things that you need to do. So know that when you're doing vendor events, those are things that you need to read the fine print on and make sure that you have those in place before you decide to sign up for it and waste your money on something that you might not be able to do because you did not get all your ducks in a row. Make sure you have all of that stuff in a row. Let's see. I've learned to make a copy of my application so I can remember what is said and I would be taking with me. Very good, because I have so much variety and also some of the events you have to apply for months in advance. Absolutely. Start a file of that vendor show. Manila folders are very inexpensive. Say, this is the vendor show I'm going to on such and such a date, and this is what I said I'd bring. This is my next vendor show, and this is what I said I'd bring. Bring a copy of your contract or your application with you. All the papers should be in there. You should be able to go and find it readily and easily so that you're not bugging the event coordinator who already has enough on their plate, answering all questions and putting out, dumpster fires, if you will. So if you are prepared with all of your information ahead of time, it just makes things run a lot smoother. And then you at least know what you have signed up for. Like Alicia said, you have to sign up for these months in advance. If it's a quick fly-by-night type of thing because it was a last minute and they had an opening, still make sure you have all of your paperwork all put together in one safe place. Great tip for that. Shalata writes, and definitely don't say, we did that one already. I already put that one. Stay focused on your booth. Yep, we talked about that earlier. And there you go. That was a lot of stuff. Again, thank you guys so much for hanging in here. I know it's not normally my long sass, and we've jam-packed everything in just about an hour. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I will be posting the checklist in my group, like I said. I hope you guys have all of the things that you need and it helps you out in the long run. You can always find me. You can find a lot of my designs here at the Sassy Supper on Etsy. Make sure you guys head over to there. If you're looking for the bags and boxes and all the stuff that I usually talk about, you can find them here at my Amazon shop, where I have kind of like a Pinterest board, if you will, on Amazon. And you can find packaging, stickers, and so much more at thesassysupper.com. As you guys can see, I have branded myself absolutely everywhere, from the things that I wear, things that I talk about, to my hashtags even. So you can do the same just for you as well. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday. Make sure you guys thank the ladies behind the helm today. They have been nothing but a blessing, and they sit there and they go try to put up as many links as I can. This was a simple link day, but I hope you guys learned lots. Until then, I'll see you guys all later on the flip side. Have a great rest of your week.